Albert Walt, the voice of the jungle, broadcasting on the DVC to all points unknown. If you're within the sound of my voice, you're listening to Welcome Home Podcast on the DVC.
Hello and welcome home. This episode of Welcome Home is brought to you by DVC Resale Market. Thank you for joining us on episode 354 of Welcome Home, a Disney Parks and Vacation Club podcast. I'm Tom. I'm here with Trevor. How's it going, Trevor?
Hey, doing all right. We're low energy today, and it's for both of our own faults because
I was at a concert last night, so I was up late, and you were up late for other reasons.
I was up late. My brother and I have a regular gaming session, and so we were up late doing that. But that's actually not why I was up late as I was. It was because I went down YouTube rabbit holes, which are dangerous. So
yeah, I actually watched. They put out Imagineering put out another one of those unscripted things that they do, and it's like 22 minutes long, and it's about the new Smugglers Run, and like it like shows them like testing everything and like all the stuff that they have to go through and all the it's actually really interesting if you're interested in that kind of stuff. Because they're like, they're trying to figure out, like they're measuring like the level of, audio. There's a guy running the entire thing from a laptop in there, programming like, motion and stuff like that. It's kind of crazy. And they talk about how these testers literally will ride the ride all day long from like 8 o'clock until like the night, just literally all day long while they're testing it. And it's like, that's crazy. That's a lot.
Yeah. It's funny, like on the surface to me, that's like, that sounds awesome.
It does, yeah.
But also it's like too much of a good thing where, I say to myself, like, yeah, I could ride the people mover all day. But
do I really want to do that?
If I did that, there is a threshold once you're just like, okay, this is not fun anymore. But, the interesting thing, like you said about the Imagineering story stuff, though, is that I haven't watched the most recent one either, but I do enjoy like the mindset of like trying to break it or like trying to find the stuff that's wrong with it. That's actually what I really enjoy about like Imagineering and that kind of stuff is it's like it's not just about like, oh, they built this amazing thing. It's like all the stuff like the angles that people don't think about that. And I say this as like I'm an IT admin, so it's like I've learned over the years that no matter how much you like, this term I don't know a better term for this, but it's what I would call it like idiot proofing.
Yeah.
Which, and I'm not like, and please don't take this, anybody listening. I'm not trying to like.
I think that's
pretend that I'm.
Phrase. Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm not trying to like put myself out there as like, oh, I'm an IT guy and I know better than all of you. But it's like you try and figure out all the angles that people will do stuff from, and you think you've got them all, and then there's always one more. Like, and I love that about Imagineering. So
maybe I should throw a spoiler alert in here. I if you haven't watched it, but go watch it. But if you want to, and spoiler, and it's funny. Just one brief aside. When we were talking about, I had just kind of randomly mentioned an effect at Trader Sam's in the last episode, and I think it was Katie in the Discord was like, I had to turn it off because my kids hadn't seen that effect yet, and I wanted it to surprise them. And at the time when I said it, I didn't think it was like a spoiler, but after she said that, I was like, oh, I totally get that. Like I just, when I said it, I just said it. I didn't think it was like anything, but yeah, I understand why that would be a spoiler, but
yeah, it's that is a hard thing too. Like, it's not like it's a new thing either, but it's also like, this goes back to like, we've talked about like, new rides coming out, how I am about like, not like watching videos ahead of time most of the time and stuff like that it's like it is about the experience, and it is you don't want people finding out something ahead of time that it kind of robs you of the expressions on their face and all that kind of stuff. So I get that. I get her sentiment totally about skipping that part of the episode.
Well, the good thing about this Imagineering video is it doesn't it reveals, they talk about the ride in like, in general, and they show a couple scenes, but you're not ruining anything by watching the video. I guess is what I'm saying. You only see little bits and pieces, and it's more about them trying to get it together and get it launched. And it was interesting because like there was a part where they were rehearsing the switch over, from the old version to the new version, just to see how long it would take them and see if everything would work. And like they did the switch over thing, and then nothing worked. Like literally the whole thing just broke, and that was just really funny. And and that's why you do those kinds of things. But I mean, because they go to test it after they switch it over, and they go and sit in one of the cabins to go try it, and then like literally they just sat there for 5 minutes, and the ride's just stuck and not moving. And it's just kind of, I mean, it's interesting. I'm sure that kind of stuff is difficult, but it takes a long time to do these things. They talked about they were working on it for a year and a half. It's a lot of time spent doing this.
It's not a simple
no.
The hard part is when it looks so good and so easy, people really underestimate how much work goes into it. Or like, when you make anything look easy, like it's, I always equate it back to, again, what I do is it's like, I sometimes diminish my work because it's like, oh, well, I can do that in, 20 minutes. Right.
Yeah.
But you're ignoring the fact that it's like, hey, it took me like, hours and weeks and, like in-depth understanding of this system and what it's doing to get it to a place where I can just, do something in 20 minutes. Right. And so same thing with like, the example of flipping things over is exactly that is, it should be simple. I hate when people say that, it's like, it looks straightforward. No,
it's not.
No, it's never straightforward. And
I thought you were referring to our show because we make this look so easy.
I mean, but that also comes with experience. We've been doing this for a long time, so it's easy now. It was not easy when we started, we've learned a lot along the way. So I mean, that is very true. The beginning, it was pretty difficult. And listen, there are still things that we do now that are difficult, but we're much more in a rhythm now than we used to be. But listen, Trevor, I am going to be adding a spoiler alert sound effect that you came up with the idea for. I'm currently working on it. So I just when I heard that, like it popped into my head, and I was like, we need something, but like not like a song. It should just be like a chime. And my head always goes like, I actually have it as my, it's my ringtone whenever you message me specifically. It's whenever Messenger goes off because we talk about Messenger.
Yeah.
It's the Star Tours chime. So it's just like,
it's perfect.
It's quick. You know what it is. Obviously, like, if we were to do something like that, we would have to, give it context so people know what it is, but you could eventually get to a point where it's like, spoiler ding.
That's what I'm going to do. That's exactly what I'm doing. So it's, the Star Wars chime, and it's going to sound like the flight attendant from Star Tours. That's what I'm working on right now. But that's
right.
Because we're gonna do a spoiler thing. So, but that was a brilliant idea by you. As soon as you said it, I heard it in my head, and I was like, I can do that. I will get that done.
I knew that.
Yeah.
That's also why on the Discord I do sometimes like. I will admit I'm bad for this. Becky's called me out on it before on the Discord that I sometimes like throw things out, even on like as we're talking on the show here too. I will throw things out, and I don't even necessarily care whether or not you catch it in the moment what I'm saying, but I will kind of throw it out with like, see if the dots get connected or like like I'll make a joke or whatever, and sometimes the joke misses but. It's for me. It's not for like, I'm not doing it expecting you to catch all of my references or whatever, but it's also the same thing on the Discord. Is like, I will make a comment knowing full well that it's like, maybe it, it'll just be taken as, whatever, but sometimes it has a bigger meaning to it. And when I said the Star Tours thing, I knew you were going to go down that line of thinking with it. And that's why I was like, we should do this.
That's as soon as you said it, I was like, oh, that's so perfect. I'm just gonna do that. Anyway,
I enjoy it. it makes the days
What were we
easier.
talking about? Oh yeah, so but you should definitely watch that thing on
Imagineering. Behind the scenes. Yes,
like I said, I find it fascinating, and it's really interesting to see the way that they kind of came up with all the things that they were doing there, and how much work they really put into it. So check that out. It's unscripted on it's on Disney Plus. It's also on YouTube. So anyway, let's get into it, Trevor.
Yeah, we do have a few things to talk about, specifically DVC things.
Yeah, a couple.
Yeah, I mean, nothing huge.
Nothing earth-shattering, I don't think.
But
yeah. I will say, Trevor, really quick before we get into this, one thing I didn't put on here was the other piece of news that's out there now is all of the inventory at Riviera has now been declared, meaning all of it is for sale essentially at this point. So we're getting fairly close, not there yet, probably still a little while out to that resort actually selling out. So
yeah, but that does show you though that it's an interesting thing going back to when we first started talking about Riviera, that with the resale restrictions and everything, that we were questioning if it was going to end up in the same state as Alani, where Alani seems to just like never it's a where it is and all that it's people, it's not a lot of people's first choice for a resort, but but obviously Riviera, the fact that it is getting to it's the fact that it is fully declared means obviously enough people are buying into it, and it is desirable enough even with the restrictions that it's still a valid resort. If I think it's more so, I don't know that I would still ever buy resale there, but I shouldn't say I would never buy resale, but I'm sure there's people that resell for that resort would fit for them. Staying there all the time is not the worst thing in the world by any means. But I feel like it, or actually, I guess I would be curious how much of Riviera is entirely direct or direct memberships versus resale. And I know we'll never I don't say we'll never get those numbers. I mean, maybe somebody has those numbers out there. I haven't looked, honestly, but it's an interesting question, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I would at this point I would expect it to sell out next year. Now, and the other part of this too is with all of the rooms declared at this point, all of the inventory declared, that also means more rooms that are available to people to use their points with, right? That's the other part of it. So it's good. I mean, I didn't put it on the rundown just because it felt like a kind of an aside, but I just thought that was interesting. But the other thing I did put on here, though, is something I just thought was kind of interesting, and I wonder if they're going to do more of this. And that's so, for example, over at BoardWalk, the Grand Villas, there's only 7 of them, Trevor, but the 7 Grand Villas, 2 of them are 2 stories, and the other 5 are a single story. And currently, if you want to book that, you basically just have to book the Grand Villa, and then whatever you get is what you get, which it's fine, good.
Sorry. Continue. I'll add on to it.
But what they're going to do is next year they're going to change it so that you can book either the 1 story or the 2 story, so you can actually have a choice. Which could be good for a lot of people that if I were going with my mom or something, I'd probably want to do the 1 floor one just so she doesn't have to deal with stairs. You know what I mean?
Right.
There's a lot of good reasons to have an option to book the 1 story instead of the 2 story, instead of it just being a random thing.
Yeah, and I feel like. This is probably the result of I know, again, my experiences with the Poly is they added, when you're booking rooms at the Poly, they had added an option to just default say request upper floor rooms this feels like the same kind of thing where they're it is only 7 rooms in the Grand Villa. But exactly to your point, people have different requirements, and rolling the dice on, am I getting the 1 story or the 2 story version? Even though they are functionally the same room, there is that experience thing where if especially I would think of it also on the flip side, it's hey, if I really liked that that 2 story feel to it, and and I was excited to stay, and you get in and it's a 1 story one. you're disappointed, right? So I understand.
Absolutely.
I understand, from that point is, I'm sure they probably got people that, I used to do this all the time until they added the options to the website, is that I would book my room and then I would call in and make all the requests that I wanted to like the particular, areas that, the area of the resort that I want to be in. Obviously understand that, they have no reason to, give you everything you request, but I feel like this is the same kind of thing where anyone who was booking these grand villas, it was probably a matter of like, oh, I want the 2-story one, and it's this way it doesn't feel like you're losing the lottery, so to speak. That people can choose, or I'm sure it will affect people. If somebody's like really dead set on getting the 2-story and they go to look and they don't see the one, or it's only the 1-story available, they might change their plans to get the 2-story, which but again, that's their prerogative. And I feel like Disney is they're trying to make sure that DVC, it's not that we should be able to pick exactly what we want all the time, and we knew that going into it, but there's no reason why they can't clearly offer these things up on the website. So,
well, listen, there's only 7 of them, so unless you own a BoardWalk, you're not getting one of them anyway.
Hey, that's and, for a single night, it's only like 2/3 of my points.
Well,
so
there's that, so the other item, though, Trevor, on here is that DVC. So this is reportedly okay. Now DVC, they haven't said anything about this, and I don't know how official this actually is. So, but this is from DVC News, and they're pretty good about this stuff. But they're claiming that DVC has adopted a new policy of placing a hold on contracts when they're passing through ROFR. So, meaning if you're in, the process of selling your contract and, you're going through the ROFR process, they won't let you use your points anymore on there because they, basically, right, now you could technically, I guess, use those points, in that in-between time. Now, if you're reselling it, if I remember correctly, I'm pretty sure you have to agree not to use the points, but basically Disney's locking you out of it while they do ROFR, which makes sense to me, actually. I didn't even think about this until now. So,
I see this the same way that when we talk about resale contracts all the time, right? Yeah. Where there's resale or when you're looking at DVC resale market, different, or you can have the same contract with the same use year, but depending on how the points are loaded, so if it has this year's points, next year's points, or points are banked or whatever, it does affect some of the pricing of it. And I can see where I wouldn't be surprised if Disney might have gotten burned on this, where
probably
people doing resale of contracts, they wait for the ROFR stuff to come through. And if ROFR does hit, if you're selling your contract and ROFR hits, I wouldn't be surprised if somebody's trying to eke out a bit of extra money where they go, oh, Disney just bought it back. I'm just going to rent out all my points now and basically drain the contract. So that, they pocket the money from it. And then Disney's in a position where they just bought back a contract that's empty for, potentially up to the next 2 years.
Sure.
Right. So I see where Disney is probably, they're looking at these things, and it was probably a matter of, I feel like most people wouldn't be that devious with it, but there also does seem to be a subset of people that, think on that level. And the silly thing is, I wouldn't have even thought about this until I read this article, and I was like,
yeah, me either.
Oh yeah, I see where you could play that angle of, you're selling back a contract, but you're pocketing the money. And then the funny thing about that is that it could almost turn into its own side business of buying and selling contracts, knowing you can buy and sell contracts with the hope of Disney exercising ROFR and then taking advantage of Disney in the draining the points. thing, right? So because the thing is like in a resale contract, they do have similar stipulations where they're like, this is the points on the contract. You don't suddenly, book or change or do whatever with the points because you're under agreement to that person. But the thing about ROFR is that once ROFR hits, you're no longer dealing with resale market and the other party that you're selling. It's dealing with Disney, and you don't have an immediate, or you don't have the same binding contract with Disney that you have with dealing with an entity like resale market. So suddenly it would have been fair game to say like, oh, I can just empty these points off of this account before they transfer it out of my or transfer it away from me, right? Because even when ROFR goes through, there is a delay. It doesn't like happen instantaneously. So there is still a chance that you could empty a bunch of points out of the account. So it's a very funny, interesting thing to talk about, but it's also a reminder of this is sometimes why we can't have nice things, because it's sad that people have to like
stop them from doing something they shouldn't be doing.
It's the same as like buying a house and somebody's selling a house, and between when you buy it and you sell it, they rip off all the, that like all the drapes are in the house. They take all the drapes, they take, the faucets and the fridge, like, like they just like strip everything out of the house, right? Like it feels like the same thing, right? And it's like most people would not do that, but some people would.
Some people will.
Yeah.
The rules are not for most people; they're for the people that take advantage.
Yeah, most of us aren't bothered enough to do that. Like if I was selling a contract, I mean, I would not be sitting there like wringing my hands, going like, oh, let's see how this ROFR goes because I can make another, few $1,000 or whatever. Like, it's
I get it.
Yeah.
All right.
Makes sense. But again, we should, we're talking about this. We should again just highlight that this came from DVC News. This is not an official statement, but DVC News tends to
be good.
Yeah, they tend to have good sources on it.
To be fair, they got this from Disboards, so you never know.
well, and again, from Disboards, or hold on, what was the actual reference? All it says is Disboards. It doesn't actually say
Disboards.
It doesn't say where it came from on Disboards, or if somebody like. I wonder if maybe that it's possible that Disney updated the
the agreement. Yeah, they might have updated the contract.
Yeah. So,
well,
that's interesting, but hopefully we don't have to deal with more things like that.
Exactly. Moving on to some other things, we the animation like courtyard area over there is continuing to be to be updated. Now some of the animation courtyard is reopened at Hollywood Studios. Some of it has not, and the big part of it that isn't yet open is the Walt Disney Studio lot, and so we're getting some. It's really this the magic of Disney animation is what the part that hasn't opened yet, right? Mm-hmm. And so this is I think everyone's aware of this, but it looks like they're modeling it after the actual Disney animation building, right? And so you have like the Sorcerer Mickey hat on there, and which lights up at night too. I've seen pictures of that. It looks pretty cool at night.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so we know about this, but they just gave us some more details. So we've got some more concept art and a map of what the experience is going to look like, and a few more details. So, which is cool. I'm excited to check this out. The more I find out about it, the more I am interested in it. But so yeah, good.
First of all, I want to say that the map that they provided it looks like a park map. Which is it's fun, but also it's funny and also might be a little bit misleading to people because because like a park map is like huge. This is a single building in a park, right? So, but I understand why they're doing it, because there's actually a lot of stuff in here. This reminds me of, and I'm people are going to get mad at me that it was a similar animation building that they had in California Adventure, which I believe, or I don't know if it's actually, or I don't think it's closed, but I think it kind of went through the same thing where like a good majority of it like got shut down over time due to COVID and stuff like that. But yeah, it's all these experiences that you remember from, the what was previously here. Like they have Olaf draws, which we've talked about. There's Once Upon a Studio Theater. I'm assuming this is like one of those like mini movies.
Yeah, it's like a small little theater, I think. And they're just going to be playing that Once Upon a Studio short, which it's a great short. But and it makes sense to put it there too. They've also mentioned here too that the portraits, there's going to be portraits around the wall all around, and that are going to kind of come to life, which is what the Once Upon a Studio thing is kind of about. And also, if all the cruise ships essentially have this, where all the art around the cruise ship can come to life at any time, and so it's kind of similar, I feel like, to that. One of the things we're seeing though that's new information on here is this Wonderland area, called Drawn to Wonderland. It's like an indoor kind of playground that is for 6-month-olds to 5-year-olds, and it's we got this piece of concept art, which I'm pretty sure we haven't seen before. This looks new to me. I don't remember seeing this. And so it's an immersive indoor playground, and it's of course it's a Mary Blair inspired, because they like to throw Mary Blair on everything, so which is fine. I like it. I'm just saying. I feel like they do it a lot. But it's got like it looks like there's a slide in there. There's some like a tea party thing with like a bunch of different like I don't know, what do you call those things, like the beads on tracks?
It's those things you would I always equated them with like when you're in the doctor's office. Like the beads running along a metal wire, and you just like that's that part. Which listen, that looks great for younger kids. It looks like a lot of fun, and it looks like a really neat design, and it looks like there's like a little kind of playhouse thing behind there. I'm assuming it looks like there's like the garden maze, which I'm guessing there's probably like a bit of a maze, or like again just a play, or more of the play area, right? So
and then there's this off the page section where it's kind of like the character meet and greets, and you also can see like some of like the different animation stuff too, which looks really neat actually, because the way they're doing it, it's like the different steps of the animation process. Like they're bringing you through the animation process with different characters, which I think is pretty neat actually.
Yeah, I do like in the map, the there's a few obscure references in here, which makes me hopeful that like a lot of times I feel like in these kinds of experiences, they cover just like the, here's Mickey, here's whatever the current popular movies are or whatever. I'm seeing like the guy from Hunchback of Notre Dame, the skeletons from that old the skeletons, the centaur from Fantasia is in there, which I know you might say like, well, Fantasia is not like obscure, but if you think about it, it's a pretty old movie, and it does not get a lot of love at this point. It does kind of come back up from time to time, but the centaur specifically, like I honestly forgot about that entire bit in the movie. But so now I was like, oh yeah, right, there was that whole thing with the satyrs and the centaurs and everything. I can't remember what the song was. It's not Dance of the Hours. Sorry. Anyway, I'm like running through like Fantasia in my head, like, oh, what were all the songs in? But yeah, like I said, it's I will say that the Drawn to Wonderland stuff as well. This is actually the best case scenario for a playground that is needed in Hollywood. It is like I didn't even. I think I've said this before, but I didn't really think about how it would play out. Like all the other parks have a playground type area of some sort, or have experiences that are geared towards kids, which,
Yeah.
you know, I've said this many times, and because I've experienced this myself when my son was younger, is that, you know, even when you're running around the parks and you are exhausted, your kids sometimes need to burn off energy, and especially like young kids, because I mean, to be fair, like your young kids, they're not walking the same way that you are. They're usually in strollers and stuff, and so sometimes you need to just, you know,
burn off some energy.
Get out and burn off energy without, you know, letting them just, you know, run crazy in the parks, because that's not, or it's not bad, but it's also like, you know, there's a lot of people. It's, you know, it's not a playground.
Yeah.
Right. Like, even though I know it's a theme park, but you know, that comes with, theme parks can be dangerous, especially when, you know, it's like a 3-year-old running around. So having an indoor play area is it's a good thing. And I don't want to say, you know, okay, this was like probably an opportunistic thing, but it could maybe be a precursor for more indoor like experiences like that. Because I mean, I'm just going to put it out there. Florida's hot. I'm surprised that there's not more indoor things like this where, like, I know it's expensive to like build buildings and maintain AC and all that kind of stuff, but it's like, it does go a lot further than, you know, making people sweat to death.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I'm a little, like I said, I think the biggest thing that surprised me about this was the Drawn to Wonderland stuff, because like you said, we didn't have anything prior to this about it.
We knew there was going to be a playground. They just didn't necessarily give all the details about it.
Yeah, and I wasn't, but I wasn't thinking of, or I guess I was thinking of like I said, you know, in the animation building in California, it had like kind of kids play areas, but there wasn't like, this is like an actual like play area. Like I guess I've heard people say like, oh, there's a place for kids, and it's like, you know, or in California, it was like the Beast Library, where it was like, oh yeah, there's like these like books and stuff, but it's not really like, it's not a playground.
Yeah.
Like I guess I have expectations of like, when you say a play area, like a play area could be a lot of things. And this is actually best case scenario. Like it's an actual proper playground where kids can go and play, and not, you know, it's AC'd, and, you know, the parents can, like, you know, keep an eye on them. You know, hopefully, you know, keep an eye on your kids, please. If you're
hopefully, yeah.
doing that.
Unfortunately, I had to say that, but yeah.
Sorry, I'm going to be honest.
Sure. Sure.
You know, you and I have both seen, you know, the kid, you know, licking the glass in the.
Oh my God, I've seen so many things. We've all seen so many things. I'm more disturbed not when a kid is doing that, when a parent is like egging a kid on to do something.
Oh, that's so cute.
Yeah, like saying like, no, stop doing that. Don't let them do that. You know.
Also, don't lick they got the beads on the wires thing here at the tea party. Don't lick those. Please. Like, other people are touching them. Don't lick them.
Like, well, like every time we go on Winnie the Pooh, like when we get to that honey, like the honey screen, you know, you like, go to the honey, my daughter always like wants to play with it. I'm like, don't touch that. That's like literal like germ fact. Like there's so many germs on that.
Yeah, it's that is the hard thing about these spaces, is that it's such a like. There's no good way to do it. Like it's like you want interactive, you want fun, but also that means other people are touching it, and that means that there's always going to be somebody that shows up that, you know, sorry, we've had this conversation before, but I'm still going to say is, you know, people that my kid's sick, but I paid a bunch of money to be here. So, you know, we're going kind of thing. Like I just,
I unless they clean it constantly, it's, you know, which is a lot. So they got a lot of other things to clean.
I can't imagine it. Like if you wanted to actually like properly clean, you would need somebody standing there like wiping these things down every 20 minutes.
Every single time that somebody uses it, it's like wipe. Yeah, no, that's
I mean, even wiping it out daily, like, you know, absolutely they should, but it's
a lot.
Like even daily, there's still so much stuff that would go through these spaces on a daily basis that, I'm just. The germaphobe side of me is like horrified thinking about this, but at the same time, I'm like, like I want it to be a thing. Like it's you know, like because like I know my kid would have loved that. I know me as a kid would have loved this, but I also see where like you know. Like just don't put your mouth on it. Like I don't understand why kids have to like put their mouth on everything.
Well, this area will be I think it's supposed to be opening sometime later this summer. So I actually might get to check this out when I'm there. So I'm hopeful, but that's really the only new thing. We knew about the Olaf draws and all the other stuff. That's like the main update that they gave us here, and the little map, that fun map that you were talking about. It's got a lot of cool stuff on it, and of course, there's a store at the end of the whole thing. You got to have the store,
but so yeah, you know, even when it's a walkthrough attraction, you got to have the gift shop.
Yeah, still got to have the gift shop. So, all right, why don't we
go look at this closer? Sorry, I realize there's way more detail in this than I realized. Like, yeah, I need to like really analyze this map. But, yeah.
Well, while you do that, let's do our ad, because I'm sure everybody's wondering when we're going to talk about that one thing. So we're getting there. I saved it for later. But we'll go ahead and do our ad, and then we'll talk about a couple other things. So. This episode is sponsored by DVC Resale Market. DVC Resale Market, a Keyholder Vacations company, is the leader in the DVC resale industry with 13 former Disney Vacation Club guides and 3 former Disney Vacation Club quality assurance managers. If you're thinking of buying DVC, browse the largest selection of DVC resale listings anywhere, with DVC experts on hand 7 days a week to answer your questions. If you're thinking of selling, turn to the friendly professionals at DVC Resale Market, where over 98% of listings sell within 30 days. In 2025, DVC Resale Market helped over 4,400 families join or add on to their memberships. Go to dvcresalemarket.com/welcome home or call 1-844-DVC-PROS. That's 1-844-382-7767. And when you speak to them, be sure to let them know that Welcome Home sent you. So, I mean, you know, listen, Trevor, the Bluey experience has opened over at Animal Kingdom, and I think a lot of us expected it to be a mess, you know, and it seems like it hasn't been a mess. It seems like it's been good, right?
Yeah.
I haven't seen anything on social media anyway that has blown it up.
I mean, it's been busy. Like let's not pretend that it hasn't been busy. It has like everything I've seen about it. It's been very busy. But I mean, as to be expected. But yeah, like you said, it's not been that bad.
It's not made social media headlines like the Disneyland one did.
Yeah,
for the wrong reasons, I should say. But it's now being reported that the virtual queue system, which they implemented at the start here, is actually going to be gone within a few days here, which is surprising.
Yeah,
but maybe they feel like they're controlling it well enough, and I guess they could always put it back on if they wanted to. But I just thought that was interesting because we talked a lot about that and the fact that they're taking that off so quickly. I did also see that the like the kangaroos and all that stuff like is not they're not ready yet. I saw that they were that is one thing that they don't have going yet.
Sorry, when you said the kangaroos aren't ready, I was trying to figure out like do they?
They're acclimating them to their new space. They said.
Okay, that's fair. I was like, what are they? Do they need makeup or like?
No, they're there. They just are acclimating, so they're not opening it yet. So that is fair, and I guess you know people are not there to see kangaroos anyway. Yeah,
they are there to see Bluey and Bingo. I will say one thing that I saw somebody mention this that was covering the area is you know, they pointed out that the Bluey bingo thing, it's a dance party, right?
Yeah,
like it's very clearly like, you know, you go in there, they have the party and the characters and whatever. The person who was talking about, you know, they were like, don't expect that it's going to be a photo op or that there is a photo op or anything.
Yeah,
for this, which I can see where like some parents might, you know, be like, oh, you know, I want to, you know, get a picture of my kid with Blue. It's like, then you got to make sure that they're in the dance party or that you're like, you know, paying attention because they're not going to stop and take photos with you, I guess is the thing.
Yeah. I mean, there's no meet and greet, but they like dance with the kids and stuff like that. So you can still get the pictures, you know?
Yeah. And I think the interesting thing about that when I actually sat down and thought about it was the thing about not having a meet and greet is they can get a lot more people through this area a lot faster.
Yep.
Because meet and greets are atrociously slow.
They're very slow. Yeah.
Because, you know, everybody wants to have their time. You know, it's not, you know, 10 seconds, you know, snap the photo, go. It's, you know, people have interactions and stuff. And this way it gives people that level of interaction, but also doesn't keep it keeps people moving through the area a lot quicker. And that's probably what I feel like Disney, you know, the whole reason that they were doing the virtual queue with this and everything was they were trying to gauge whether or not this was actually going to work the way that they thought it would. Right.
Yeah.
Because, because I wouldn't be surprised. I haven't heard anything on that level, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's somebody out there that, you know, obviously, you know, not everyone's researching this the same way that, you know, you and I would, but, you know, walks into this thinking that it's going to be a meet and greet, or that they're going to have like, you know, their child's going to have an amazing interaction with Bluey or Bingo, and then, you know, go in there and it's like, you know, it's a 13-minute dance party. Like so, I wouldn't be surprised if somebody out there gets upset about it at some point, but, you know, for now it's, you know, it's just the initial hype of it is, you know, everyone's good with it. One thing I will say is I wouldn't be surprised if once the hype dies down around it, if it doesn't turn into a meet and greet at some point, or if there isn't, or if they don't open up a meet and greet at some point.
Yeah, it could. It definitely could. I could see that, Trevor.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, it's interesting. It's an interesting way that they're doing this. Like I said, it's like, to me, it's very, you know, I'm not feeling like if I went to Animal Kingdom tomorrow that I would have to be lighting up to see this, but it is very interesting how Disney is handling this, right?
Sure,
like it is on, like, if you really think about it, it is very different than the way a lot of other IPs have been introduced into the park.
I can see that. Yeah, I kind of see what you're saying there. I don't know. I guess in my head though, I don't know what else they would do. Like,
well,
you know,
but I mean, in the past we would have said like, oh, there needs to be a Bluey ride, or you know, meet and greets and stuff like that. This is really like Disney. They are capitalizing on the fact that they had a space where they could very clearly control the flow of people with the train, but also even people in that space, they're keeping the flow of like, you know, hey, you can come do your dance party, and, you know, you get, you know, it's, you know, a bunch of people getting an experience with the character. It's not an intimate one-on-one, but that still kind of works. Like, I feel like it's a thing where, you know, not everybody expects to have that one-on-one experience, I guess, is the point. Like, you know, we talk a lot about meet and greets, but I guess maybe this is a hint that, you know, not everything needs to be a meet and greet, right?
They are also doing like interactive games too, right? So it's they're doing the dance part. They're also doing the interactive games with the kids too. So
it's keepy uppy and
but that's what they. I mean, that's what they want to
magic.
play.
I think it's keepy uppy and magic asparagus is what I saw.
Listen, every time that there's a balloon at my house, we end up playing keepy uppy. So it's you know,
I haven't seen a balloon in my house in probably 10 plus years.
I wish I could say that. But yeah, listen, the other part of this too is the kangaroos and wallabies part, like I said, is not operational, but when it is, it's actually going to be a walkthrough experience where you walk you walk on a path essentially, and you can see the animals. And there's I've seen this kind of thing with kangaroos at our local zoo does the same thing, where they have kangaroos and there's like a walking path, and you walk through where the kangaroos are. You obviously can't pet them, but there's no fence in between you and them. So it is kind of cool.
Yeah, we have an aviary like that at our local zoo where there's actually like owls and hawks and stuff that like it's the same thing. Like they can like fly right in front of you and whatnot, which that's a very cool way to do it, where, you know, being able to walk into the enclosure is good, but as long as people stay on the path.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like I'm always like pointing out the like, don't do that thing kind of thing. I see it all the time. Like, you know, there's always like the report of like, somebody jumped off a ride and did a thing, and it's like, don't do the thing.
Don't do
like,
that thing. Yeah.
Just enjoy it. Enjoy that you're like, 5 feet from a kangaroo and it's, eating, but leave it alone and don't let your kid, think that they can go up and give it a hug. Like, don't do that.
Yeah, that's funny.
I mean, even though, to be fair, like kangaroos can be okay, like, yeah, but I still wouldn't, let my kid I guess I wouldn't let my kid near anything that, anything short of what I know is a domesticated animal that I trust. Cause it's like, yeah, they're still wild animals, even if they're in captivity.
Yeah, even though they're there. Yeah, it makes sense.
But it's like people trying to like pet elk and stuff in where I live. Like they look nice, but they can hurt you. So
yeah, they can. They can. I'm gonna skip ahead to the last thing, and then
you're deliberately
what
you're deliberately making it. You're teasing that, like,
I know
the elephant in the room, and it's not Dumbo.
Well, but here's the thing, right? Like, let's get this other topic out of the way.
Fair. Okay. Yeah, you're right, because we are going to talk about we're going to talk about the great big topic.
The great big elephant in the room.
Yeah.
So we actually kind of talked about this a bunch of shows ago, where Disney had filed a patent for like a weather patent.
Yeah.
to alert
not
guests
for controlling the weather.
No,
don't
they
go
wish.
there.
but where they can alert guests hyper locally to weather conditions. Well, now we have an announcement of that's actually a thing now. So it's a partnership. They're doing it with the AccuWeather app, where now is called Disney Weather Check, right? And really all it is, it's the AccuWeather app, but they're doing specific weather for where you are at, within any of the Disney, locations, right? So like you'll be able to search directly for Walt Disney World Resort instead of just, whatever town that you are in on the resort. It's specific to the resort, and the patent was actually so that the weather, if there's like a weather issue, that it would send it to the Disney app, and then it would help you change your plans. Meaning, like, if you had like a lightning lane for a big thunder and there's a thunderstorm coming through and it's going to be closed, they could, alert you, and then you could like reschedule to something else, right? Like that's what that patent was for. And we don't really have anything here about that, but we do have that, there's basically, you're just getting hyper local weather specific to the Disney properties.
So I feel like I should read this off, because I've seen people like asking this question, that they're like, I go into the AccuWeather app and I don't see anything about this. So they actually say it is a geofenced experience within Disney properties, which activates when Disney Weather activates the Disney Weather Check features within the AccuWeather app. So you actually have to be on Disney property to see
it. Yeah.
To see this happen. And it says guests received enhanced location specific weather intelligence aligned with Disney employee alerts, warnings, and advisories used to initiate uniform safety protocols. So you are getting like all the, lightning warnings and stuff like that. And it's essentially the same information that Disney employees get, which, that's what drives like the closing of attractions and stuff, is, when they get certain weather warnings, they know like, oh, this is not safe, we need to close Big Thunder or whatever, Tom's coming today, so we're closing Big Thunder.
Oh, that'd be great, actually.
Stuff like that.
You close it for everybody but me, though, right? Like, that's what you're trying to say.
Sure, yeah. Let's go with that.
All right. Okay, that sounds good to me. You actually can type in Walt Disney World Resort now into the app, but I think like the alerts and stuff don't happen until you're there.
Exactly. Yeah. That's the thing, is that it's a custom tuned feature of the app that geofencing is a thing that's been around for a while, but they're very much using it that, so I feel like this is probably a matter of, since it's a third party thing, AccuWeather doesn't want people perpetually checking their app for Disney World weather status.
What, you mean like checking wait times when you're, 8 hours away?
Yeah, exactly. I'm sure Disney probably had to set this up with them so that AccuWeather wouldn't get their services slammed by people like going, oh, what's the weather like at Disney today? When we're on the other side of the country.
I mean, like I just did right now,
exactly.
Just a second ago.
Yeah, Disney's fine with it because it's their own stuff, but I understand why they need to limit this stuff for third parties.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, and also it offers that's where the attractiveness of it comes in, is that it's once you get here, you get our special version of it. It's only, it's not available to anyone outside of Disney World.
Yeah.
But I will say, I don't know that this actually, like, it's a very cool thing. I would have to see it in action to see how useful it is. The thing for me is that I use a couple of different apps for, like rain proximity and lightning strikes. I'm wondering how, like, I know it's AccuWeather and they obviously, track the same information, but it's more so like, how quickly can you get that information to me?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And is it going through any kind of like, sorry, I hate to say it, is Disney filtering it in some form, right? Like, I like having that information because like, even like things like lightning strikes, I'm not like terrified of being hit by lightning, but I understand how, if I can see a bunch of stuff like kind of on the edge of the radar that's like, oh, this is coming, I adjust before even like the closure notifications start coming out. Like it's that like preemptive predictiveness that I'm curious if they'll give you, or how far ahead they'll actually give you warning on stuff, right?
Yeah. Listen, Disney is the place I'm least worried about getting hit by lightning because they have lightning rods everywhere.
Yeah, it's more so around like planning my day, and I use it as an extension of like, if outdoor stuff is going to be closing, or I can see that something's coming, it's like I can adjust before other people adjust.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So,
yeah. All right, Trevor. Let's progress to the next topic here. You get it? Progress.
Progress. We're making progress on this podcast.
Yeah,
Great,
we are.
Big, beautiful progress.
Yeah. So a while ago, Disney announced that there were going to be updates to the Carousel of Progress, and they didn't really give us details at the time. Who knows what kind of details they had at the time. We knew about the Walt Disney animatronic, right? That's going to open it up, which I still think is great. I'm excited to see that. But what they've been doing in past years, the last time they did a redo of this, all they did was update the last scene, right, to be a little more modern.
Yeah.
We're getting a whole redo, which I understand why a lot of people have mixed feelings about this, because it's hard, right? Like, because you want to keep that thing that you've had like this, but at this point, it's so you have to move the timeline up, or the time jumps are getting too big at this point, right? Like,
okay,
yeah.
So why don't we start by talking about how the acts are changing? Because I think we're just saying things are changing. Let's actually give some context.
No, I was going to get there.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
I was going to get there. I promise. Okay. We're going to have new decades now, right? So the first act after the Walt Disney, talking about the actual creation of this, right, is going to be the 1960s, right? So we're going from, what was it, the 20s before, or was it?
I thought it was. Yeah, I think it was the 20s.
Yeah, I think it was the 20s.
Yeah.
And so now we're going to the 60s. So we're taking a pretty big jump forward here, but it makes sense to me that this is where they're going to start, right? Because this is like when the moon landing was. This is like, and there's a lot of interesting stuff that happened in the 60s.
It's also kind of technically after the end of the previous one, if you like, because the previous one went up to like the 50s, and then they jumped to like, I'm using air quotes, the future.
The future, the quote-unquote future.
But even the future was like kind of like 1960s deco. The interesting thing is, the first act starts in the 1960s, which, I appreciate that that's still showing history. The second act offends me a little bit more.
Really?
Because I was alive in the 80s, and you're talking about like its history.
Yeah.
So
it is.
Wait, no.
Yeah, no, it is though. We pick up with the family on Halloween night, 1985, and for the first time ever, Sarah's taking center stage. So Sarah's not just going to be like a side character anymore. Sarah's actually going to be in the stage, which great.
And and she's going to be sharing how all the new appliances and gadgets are making life easier for the whole family. That's actually a very wild thing, and I'm very curious to see how
that's going to go. Yeah.
Because I grossly underestimate, like growing up in the 80s, like I got to go through, the evolution of, the internet, evolution of technology, all that kind of stuff. I took a lot of this stuff for granted growing up.
Yeah.
And I'm curious to see how they're going to phrase the perspective on this, because like I was very much a kid in the 80s, but having Sarah emphasize it, I think it's I feel like that's actually the best play for this, because a teenager in the 80s is the one really experiencing like how much things are changing.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. So yeah, I'm curious about that. And then the next one, again, further offending me is that they're going to move into the 90s.
Further offending you. I'm
not that old. Come on, guys. I'm
not either. I grew up in the 80s.
I'm only like 21. Come on.
I grew up in the 80s too. Okay, so I'm with you. I'm here. Yes, but here's the funny thing about this though, is I vividly remember New Year's Eve 1999. Like that's a core memory for me, mostly because if anybody wants to remember the whole Y2K thing, that was made it a very memorable New Year's Eve that year. So.
I was just out of high school, or I was 3 years graduate, so I wasn't just out of high school, but I was like just becoming an adult and everything in 1999. Yeah, it was a wild time for sure. Like,
it seems like this one is going to focus on the internet too, like the beginning of the internet. I'm sure. Yeah. I'm hopeful we're going to get some old school AOL dial-up sounds going on.
Do you remember Netscape?
Do I know? Yeah. That's
Maybe we'll see a Netscape browser on a screen.
I want my child to hear the like the sound that it used to make when you had to log on to the internet.
That would actually be the funniest thing if they did a beat in it where it's like, let me connect to the internet, and they just play the dial-up.
No, here's what I want. I'm going to tell you what I want them to do, Trevor. Yeah. I want Jimmy to be getting on the internet, right? Mm-hmm. First of all, Liz, we know John's not going to be using the internet, okay? It's going to be newfangled, and he's not. Mm-hmm. It's going to be Jimmy, right? And so Jimmy's going to be getting on the internet, and then Patty's going to pick up the phone to call her friend and screw up the whole connection. Yeah. Like if that doesn't happen, they've made a mistake. Because that is a thing that happened all the time.
Okay, and I'll speak from personal experience, because I did this to my family's home PC. Was my parents bought the PC for all of us, and we had the dial-up internet and all that. Me as a kid thought I knew better than I did, and I made some changes to the startup file called AutoExec.bat, and I broke our PC for about 3 weeks, I think it was, because I made a change so I could launch a game, but I didn't realize that it broke like loading everything else. So I know that's like a little too technical for this, but it would be funny also if like Jimmy John bought the computer, like, oh, this is for the family, and then like
John's gonna be like, they
Jimmy
got this
breaks
newfangled thing called an email. What's an email? Like that's
I'm in an AOL chat room.
What? Yeah, chat room. AOL Instant Messenger.
You remember ICQ? Maybe that one's a little too deep too.
There's a lot of fun stuff they can do with the 90s. Yeah. I will be interested to see how that goes down, but.
This is gonna be weird, because I feel like there's gonna be a lot of like inside targeted jokes at our age group, and kids are gonna be like, you know what I just realized what's gonna happen here. The same way that when Carousel of Progress opened, I'm sure that there was people that when Carousel of Progress opened, there was older people that had lived through those areas that are probably going like, oh yeah, I remember this, like, haha, that's so relatable. This is going to happen there, and we're going to be like, haha, that's so relatable. But all the younger kids are going to be like, what
is that?
what is this weird show we're watching?
It's weird.
Oh no.
I'm reading between the lines here, by the way, but I'm noticing in each one of these, they're referencing scenes that already exist, making me think that the side scenes are going to stay mostly the same, that they're just going to maybe update
they're going to be
them.
rephrased to reflect the current era versus so I guess the beats and the jokes won't change all that much.
Yeah, because it like for the 80s, it says Uncle Orville is going to be in the bathroom with no privacy around here. So like he's still going to be in the tub and still yell no privacy around here. But like, I'm sure they're not going to make the air conditioning joke, right? Like that's, you know what I mean? Like that's not there. And then, but then it also says Grandpa has for the 90s one, Grandpa's already nodded off before the big countdown while Grandma sneaks the TV over to wrestling when no one's looking. That's a scene that kind of already exists, right? Except it's boxing, right? So they're just going to kind of update those side scenes, it seems like, right?
Yeah, still like, but again, I guess the actions in the scene are, that's one thing. But like we said, there's lots of room for them to add to it. Like, and I see where they do need to keep some of that, like keeping the original show intact in some way needs to be there, because if they change it entirely, I don't know. I don't. Okay, yeah, I'm having really mixed feelings about this. Like, I'm like,
just the choices or the fact that they're updating it at all.
Well, because part of me is like, if they're redoing all this, that's the opportunity to like, you don't need to have the little side or like you can change the side scenes. Like, it doesn't have to be Uncle Orville. It doesn't have to be.
If you get rid of Uncle Orville, people are gonna be mad.
Well, but okay,
you can't get rid of Uncle Orville saying no privacy around here. Like, come on, I will politely disagree with you on that. I actually think it'd be funnier if they had Uncle Orville like in modern times and like somebody
he should
like
be the one trying to connect to the internet.
Somebody FaceTimes him and he's like, no privacy at all.
He should be the one trying to connect to the dial-up internet. Like, it shouldn't be him in the bathtub. It should be him like, I'm trying to, I'm trying to get to an AOL chat room. Don't pick up the phone.
Oh my God. Don't forget. Yeah, I just want them to be on the internet and for someone to pick up the phone and just hear all the sound and then someone yell at the other person like, hang up the phone.
I'm trying to talk to my friends.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So now that we've, just gone really off the rails.
We've just kind of like, or we've set ourselves up for disappointment is what we've just
I'm excited for this. I'm excited.
Because we have a vision now of how we think it should be, and it's not going to be what we think it should be. Which, I mean, let's be real. We have no idea how this is all going to play out in the end.
I really hope that whoever they like assign this to, like, like if they assign different teams to the different acts, they need a bunch of 40-year-olds working on the 80s and 90s, right? Like, you can't give that to like some 20-somethings, okay? You need to have the 40-year-olds and the 50-year-olds working on the 80s and 90s because they're the ones that actually know what's going on.
I've watched enough YouTube videos of teenagers trying to use rotary phones. Yeah. Don't you dare tell me that a teenager can tell you how the 80s work.
Keep the 20-somethings out of the 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
So Act 4 is always going to be the trickiest one for them, right? Because they're trying to predict the future before we get to the future. And so, it's hard because it can outdate itself very quickly as the current version has gotten kind of out of date. And so this time, this feels very, to make another old reference, very Jetson-y, I feel like, in a weird way.
I was going to say this feels Spaceship Earth.
Yeah, it feels Spaceship Earthy too. Yeah. I get that. But they're going to have, they're going to have a helpful robot assisting with everyday tasks. Maybe that's what's making it Jetson-y for me, because I feel like the robot kind of looks like the
Rosie.
robot in the Jetsons. But
it does. Yeah, it does look a little like Rosie.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, a little bit. And so helpful robot assisting with everyday tasks to space travel. This scene imagines a future where extraordinary innovation has become part of life and proves that a beautiful tomorrow is just a dream away. So they mention, and it says to help bring the new finality to life, Imagineers looked back at the original concept sketches from John Hench, drawing inspiration from his vision of the future. So, listen, I think this makes sense. It's the last scene is very difficult. I mean, it just is, because they're trying to make this as timeless as they can. So
I think
it's hard.
I think you're absolutely right, though. When you say it's giving Jetson vibes,
Yeah.
I think that's the best case scenario because
Yeah.
even though Jetsons is dated, it is still very much a representation of a future that we haven't realized yet.
Yeah.
So like it, everything that happens in the Jetsons is so like out of this world fantastical, like even to the point of like they are like space travel is a common thing. And this final scene, they are actually they're implying that the family is living in space, like on another planet or something like that. Planet, so they are definitely trying to. I think that's the best case scenarios because if you do put it into a I think the previous version of it, they tried to be like, oh, here's like here's how the future will augment day-to-day life, right? And the problem with that is that the augmentation stuff doesn't. You don't know how that all plays out. Like we can't predict that part, and it does show its age very quickly. Yeah. But going to like a more fantastical setting, which and I say like space travel right now feels very fantastical. In 20, 30 years, it could be obvious. Yeah, like that's the whole point. It's like it actually does giving it a very fantastical endpoint does actually add to the longevity of it, and I think they it is the right decision at the end of the day. The other thing I'll say too with this robot is I'm also getting vibes of the droids from Galaxy's Edge.
I can see that, yeah.
Which I know they don't need to go that far as having like fully autonomous droids, but I wouldn't be surprised if it has like similar movement or functionality to it as the ones that we see out in the park, right?
Yeah, I'm wondering what the problem is going to be in the last one, right? So like, is because if you watch it now, the voice activation overheats the oven catches on fire, there's smoke, right? So I assume something similar is going to happen in the scene, unless they want to keep it positive and things are going to be okay. But
it's an air fryer, it's not an oven this time.
Yeah, right. Well, I also I'm noticing. I'm looking at this concept art, and I see there's a cake there, and what looks like a robot arm decorating the cake. I feel like that's a prime suspect for something going haywire, right there. And also, of course, the robot, cleaner as well. So I don't know. We'll have to see what happens, but it looks cool. I'm going to tell you this right now, Trevor. I think everybody that listens to the show knows I have a great affinity for attraction posters, and I kind of collect them and have them framed all around my house. I have never wanted an attraction poster more than I want the one that they put out. This attraction poster is awesome, and I must have it immediately.
So sorry, is it the one on the left? That's the new one.
I believe the one on the right is an old one, and I was
going to say it's hard to tell, honestly.
The way you tell is from what she's doing in the one on the right, and also the robot is in the left-hand side one. So
that's valid. Yes. Yeah. I didn't think about that.
Yeah. I want this poster. I'm going to get this poster. It is going in my house somewhere. I whenever I can buy this, I will buy it. So.
Yeah, all in all, like, okay. So now that we've talked our way through how they're changing the attraction, right? The big debate about this is, people always go back to, well, why does this need to change, right? And I mean, it's this is the hard truth that people don't want to accept, is that it's in the name. It's Carousel of Progress, not Carousel of Stagnation or Carousel of keeping everything in a little box that you don't touch. It does have to be changed. It does have to evolve. It has already evolved.
Yeah.
The hard part that people seem to wrestle with is that you have your memories of a particular version of a ride or of the park, but it's not a museum, right? Like I don't I don't get why people are so against like the evolution of the stuff, because it's like, you know, if it was just tearing it down for the sake of like, you know, we don't like this anymore, we're going to turn it into a Starbucks or something like that, you would have every right to be upset.
The
like,
carousel of Starbucks.
And I mean, to be fair, like they did that, you know, it happened in Disneyland, like the show there, it changed. You know, it was America Sings, and then it was Star Wars Launch Bay. So it was where they had the launch bay, and I don't even, or actually, yeah, that's a DVC, or the upper floor is a DVC lounge and stuff. So it's like, you know, but you know, I get why that needs to change. For this one, it's like, you know, you can be mad that they're changing the version that you grew up with, but the fact that they're putting the love into this to update it and to keep it relevant and to keep it moving forward says far more about how much they actually care about it than them keeping it in the state that you want to see it in because it lives in a place of nostalgia for you.
Yeah, and to your point, Trevor, I always go to what the man himself said, right? Around here, we don't look backwards for very long. We keep moving forward, opening new doors, doing new things. Like that's Walt Disney himself said that, and that's what that's what they do.
Yeah.
So,
and the reality is that the whole thing about, well, this was the last thing that Walt Disney touched. If Walt Disney was still doing this, he absolutely would have wanted to change this.
Probably would have changed it a lot sooner, honestly.
Yeah, you're right. Actually, he would have because he would have wanted to be showcasing, new stuff coming up.
What the newest technologies were.
Yeah, like it's such a weird. We talk about this all the time, where people get stuck in like a particular version of the park, which. And this isn't to say that I agree with, everything changing. And, I, as I get older, I do struggle as well with the fact that, I have core memories of things in the parks that don't exist anymore.
Sure.
And, I have to wrestle with that. It's not I guess you can get stuck in the nostalgia of it, or you can appreciate the nostalgia of it and then also look forward to, seeing something new, learning about something new. And also like it does make for new memories, right?
Yeah.
I get, cause like even from when my son was younger, going to the parks, like, if I haven't talked to him about this particular thing, but if I said like, oh yeah, they're changing Carousel Progress, he would go like, yeah, I don't care. It's not a big thing to him. But there are other rides that, he resonates with, like, even Tower of Terror in Disneyland was a good example. Like that was a big thing for him. And then when I told him that they changed it to Guardians of the Galaxy, he was like, okay. But he wasn't thrilled about it, but he also was like, okay, but now it's something new. Like it's, it's a reason to go back to the park. So, you can be mad about them changing this, but I just, anybody who's mad about this is honestly, I'll stand on this, is you're doing this, you're enjoying Disney for the wrong reasons if you're mad about Carousel of Progress changing.
Wow. Okay.
I know. The whole idea of holding on to everything and keeping it in a perfect little box and it can't change and whatever, like that's silly to me. Like,
well, Walt Disney himself didn't want that,
Yeah. And you shouldn't want that either, because if this stuff didn't change, if we didn't keep changing these attractions and everything, we all would have been tired of the parks years ago, and Disney World would be closed down because nobody would be going there. It'd be boring. It's what happens to like local amusement parks where it's like, well, nothing's changed in 20 years, and it stagnates and falls off, right?
Yeah. I mean, listen, to me, it's about, I think this, if anything, carries on, what Walt wanted to do with this. And listen, here's the other part of this. The last time this was updated was 1992. Okay.
Yeah,
Or I'm sorry,
way-
1994. I'm sorry, 1994.
Way overdue.
The last time it was 1994. So you're talking, you've had 31 years to enjoy this version of it.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's time for something new, you know? And that's the thing about it though is too, it's not completely changing, right? We're still going to have the song. We're still going to have Great Big Beautiful Tomorrow. Like that's not going away.
Some of the beats are still there.
Yeah,
like the story beats are still there. They're just being revised for.
You know that they're gonna make tons of references to the original. Like, you know, that's what they're gonna do. I just think this is, you know, I think this is great. I love to see the older things getting love like this, and I really want to see some other things like, you know, Spaceship Earth and you know, Journey into Imagination. Like those are things that need that next. You know, those things that have been. I mean, because we haven't had an update for on Spaceship Earth in a long time either. It hasn't been 30, you know, 31, 32 years, but it's been a while.
Last time it was updated was 2013, right?
Yeah, was it 2013? I feel like it was
2013.
I thought it was
Maybe
further back than that.
Yeah, you might be right. I'll have to go look now, but
yeah, but yeah, I mean, we're still gonna have the songs. You know, we're still going to have all that. By the way, for everybody that's wondering, you have until July 6th to enjoy this version of it. And then starting on July 5th, I guess, because starting on July 6th, it will be closed. And they're expecting to reopen it in 2027. So I will say my only disappointment, Trevor, is that I won't get to see this version again. Now, listen, I've seen it a bunch of times. I'm sad it's going to be closed when I'm there. My daughter actually really loves it. So it's kind of a bummer that I'm not going to get to, you know, kind of have that goodbye ride on it, but it's okay. I'm excited for the new version. I think my daughter will like it just as much. 2007, by the way, Trevor. 2007 was the last update.
Yeah, I just found it as well. Yeah, 2000.
Yeah, so it's been almost 20 years now. I mean, it's been a long time.
Judi Dench has been narrating for a long time on Spaceship Earth.
Yes, she has. Yeah, and I think it's. I mean, listen, they were gonna do the Spaceship Earth total refurb, and then COVID happened, and it got canceled. And I'm just asking, bring it back. Let's do it. Let's make it happen. You know, because it needs it. It does need it. So,
but back to your point about Carousel of Progress is now you get to look forward to a Carousel of Progress.
That's right.
You know, in the future, which is the whole point of the Carousel of Progress.
That's right. That's right. Listen, I want this ride to not be the ride that people go and take a nap on. I want it to be the ride that people go on and appreciate.
Okay, you know what? No. Okay. All right. Sorry, I'm going to disagree with you here. Is, you know, people are well within their right to nap on the ride.
No,
because it is a cool AC building and all that. That is their choice. It doesn't hurt you from enjoying it.
It does. It makes me mad on behalf of
what needs to not happen is when you and I were there and there was a kid running back and forth.
Oh my gosh.
In the ride, which like that should stop happening. Like, you know,
I've also had the person loudly talking on their cell phone in the middle of the show, and it's like, really?
Yeah.
Come on. Like, so anyway.
Yeah. But
all right,
I get what you're saying. Yes, people should just enjoy the show. But, you know, sometimes you need a little nap. I mean, you know, hey, I think after the show, you and I are going to need a nap because we were up late last night. So
yeah, it's true. Yeah.
Both for unrelated reasons. We just both happened to have really late nights last night.
Yes, we did. All right. Well, let's wrap this up.
Yeah. Okay.
There's a great big beautiful afternoon that we want to enjoy.
Yeah, a great big beautiful maybe afternoon nap. We will see.
There you go.
Yeah. I know, man. Talking about Carousel of Progress is making me feel really old right now.
I know, but I love Carousel of Progress so much.
Yeah. Like I said, just looking at them like, oh yeah, they're updating history, and it's like, but wait, that's like my childhood that they're talking about. So it's it's gonna take me a minute to get over that. And we'll come back around it. But you know, I guess in the meantime, for you know, anybody listening to the show, if you want to share your thoughts on Carousel of Progress or you know your own trip reports, anything like that, you can always reach out to us at our email address, which is welcomehomepodcast@gmail.com, or you can check out our website, welcomehomepodcast.co. You know, you can contact us through there. There's also there's a link to the store from there as well, which you know, here let's do this out of order just for fun today because I can. So, you can go to the store and you can check out our different merch there. If you want to go directly to the store instead of through the website, store.welcomehomepodcast.co. If you see anything there that you see anything you like, please, grab it. If there's something that you wish you could see in the store, drop us an email and we can look at adding stuff to the store. So, let us know. You can also you can find us on social media. It's outside of the website and everything. We are on social media. You can find us on Instagram as Welcome Home Pics. You can find us on YouTube as Welcome Home Podcast. You can find us on Facebook as Welcome Home Podcast. And you can also check out our group on Facebook, Welcome Home Disney Waitlist, where it's just more conversation about things from the show. People talking about things like Carousel of Progress. Also sharing trip reports. Outside of us talking about news, we also we love hearing what people are doing for their Disney trips and DVC stuff. So please come let us know what. If you're planning a trip or if you got questions, we got lots of experts that, Tom and I are not experts on any of this stuff. So if you want to get a bunch of different people to, enjoy planning Disney trips with, come check out our group. And last but not least, if you want to help support the show, you can go to patreon.com/welcomehomepod and you can check out our different levels of Patreon support, which have exclusive Patreon merch that has a logo that we only offer there. And our Patreon listeners get access to the Discord server, which, as we talked about, is yet another place that we have conversations about things that we're doing on the show. There's sometimes hints at little upcoming things. There was a hint on the Discord, which Tom just had to, drop a hint, and we'll just leave it there because we don't even know it's happening.
We really don't know if it's happening, but if it does happen, it will be epic.
But Tom's excited about it, and I'm excited about it.
I couldn't keep it to myself anymore.
I knew you couldn't. I know you couldn't.
It was bothering me, and I still haven't actually said what it was. I kind of know you haven't, if you paid attention.
No, I mean, because I know, I'm like, oh yeah, I know what Tom's alluding to, but
yeah.
But that's because I know, but you don't know. So if you don't know, you don't know.
I really hope it happens because
me too. Yeah, me too. Absolutely.
I'm just not getting that excited about it until it does. So
I talked with my brother about it last night while we were gaming, and I was expressing my excitement to him, and he didn't fully understand it because he was like, oh, is this like a big thing? And I was like, well, yeah, it is for people who know.
It is for us.
Like for people who are into Disney stuff, it's a big thing.
So, yeah. Anybody that's into you don't even need to go that deep into Disney park stuff to know who this person is. So anyway, we'll continue.
Well, this thing.
Yes.
You didn't say it was a person. But.
Person, thing, whatever.
You're ruining it.
I'm not ruining anything.
But anyway, yeah. So, outside of all that, if you like what we're doing on the show, also, check us out on iTunes or Spotify. Leave us a 5-star review. Write us a review on iTunes. Let us know what you think about the show as well. And I think that's... Did I cover everything? I did cover it. This is why I don't do it out of order because
I know it screws you all up.
It does.
So, but the other thing is you should not not forget to subscribe to the podcast, right? So actually remember, that's the good way to say that. To subscribe to the podcast so you can be reminded every time we release a new episode. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, TuneIn, Spotify, YouTube Music, and just about any other podcast app that is out there. You can listen to us. Huge thank you to our sponsor, DVC Resale Market, for sponsoring this episode and being good friends and partners. We're going to get them on sometime again soon here too. We were going to have all the old crew back on all at once, Trevor. I still got to coordinate that. So we're going to
the old DVC Resale Market crew.
Yeah, a lot of the guests. One of the guesses, which I think was from Becky, was that our big reveal was that we were going to have Derek on the show. That's not what it is, but it is big. That would be nice. But anyway.
Yeah. We still want Derek on the show, so that's still we're going to try and make that happen.
We're still going to make it happen. Join us next time for more Disney Parks discussion, of course, more DVC talk. We hope to see you all real soon.
This is Skipper Albert A. Wald, the voice of the jungle, signing off from Welcome Home Podcast on the DVC. a house when we had a chair. How she can cuddle is no man's affair. I look around for all the holes, found her in her sugar bowl.